No one is coming. Gaza's spiral deepens as families in Israel demand action. As the dust settled from the latest round of airstrikes in Gaza City on Friday morning, rescue workers and civilians clawed through rubble in the Shujaiya neighborhood, searching for survivors. The smell of cement dust and burned plastic hung in the air. What they found instead were the bodies of 4 children from the same family, 2 of them under 5 years old. The children's mother, Samaya Jabber, survived but lay unconscious in a field hospital hastily set up in an abandoned warehouse. There are no more functioning hospitals in central Gaza. All we heard was the whistling, then everything went dark, said her neighbor, Fadi Mansour, who helped pull bodies from the debris. We're not fighters. We're just trying to stay alive. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, Friday's strikes killed 84 Palestinians, bringing the death toll in the last 72 hours alone to over 250. Aid groups say they can no longer operate under the current conditions. The World Health Organization has warned of an outbreak of cholera due to contaminated water sources and a near-total breakdown in sanitation. We are past the point of catastrophe, said WHO spokesperson Talia Rahmani. This is collapse. This is medieval suffering in a modern war. Bring them home. Israeli families reach boiling point. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, pressure is mounting on Prime Minister Golan's government as families of hostages escalate their campaign for action. On Friday afternoon, over 10,000 demonstrators marched from Habima Square to Kaplan Street, waving banners reading, "Bring them home now," and "No more waiting." The protest was the largest since the war began in October, and the crowd included not only hostage families but reservists, former Shin Bet officials, and activists from across the political spectrum. "I served in 2 wars. I know what leadership looks like," said Major Rez Yuval Evenchen, whose daughter Noah was abducted from a music festival on October 7th. "What we see today is not leadership. It's paralysis wrapped in slogans." The Hostage Families Forum, which has become a powerful grassroots lobbying group, is now calling for a full cabinet shakeup. Some are even demanding a temporary international supervision of negotiations, including third-party arbitration from the EU or UN. "There is still a window," said Rachel Shmueli, whose husband, an American-Israeli doctor, is believed to be in Hamas custody. "But it's closing, and if this government can't get it done, we will find one that can." An opinion poll released Friday by Channel 13 showed that 62% of Israelis now favor a temporary ceasefire in exchange for the hostages' return, even if that means significant concessions. This marks a dramatic shift from earlier in the war, when hawkish sentiment dominated. Shadow diplomacy in Doha. Though official talks have collapsed, diplomats are not giving up behind the scenes. According to multiple sources familiar with the situation, CIA Director William Burns remained in Doha late Friday for quiet channel discussions with Qatari officials and intermediaries close to Hamas' political wing. While the Cairo process is considered dead, Doha has emerged once again as a potential pressure valve. "Burns doesn't stay unless there's a reason," said a U.S. official familiar with the matter. "There's still a belief that a limited framework, maybe even a week-long pause, can be salvaged. But it would require Netanyahu and Sinwar to back down from red lines. Neither seems willing." Israeli sources confirmed that Mossad chief Barak Alon is also in discreet contact with Qatari counterparts. The goal now appears to be more modest. A short humanitarian pause, enough to deliver aid, evacuate wounded, and perhaps extract a handful of critically ill hostages. "There's no breakthrough on the table," said Haaretz diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev. "But there's motion. Not enough for peace. Maybe enough to stop the bleeding." Regional tensions on the rise. Across the region, the fallout continues. On the Lebanese border, Hezbollah fighters launched a rocket barrage into northern Israel late Thursday, prompting Israeli retaliatory strikes on villages in southern Lebanon. Casualties were reported on both sides, including civilians. In Jordan, protests erupted in Amman for the 5th night in a row, with demonstrators denouncing both the war and their government's cooperation with U.S. military logistics. In Baghdad, the Sadrist movement called for a regional intifada unless Gaza's siege is lifted. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has reportedly placed several units on alert posture. though there are no signs of imminent escalation beyond rhetoric. U.S. CENTCOM forces remain on standby in the Red Sea and Gulf, where the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier group continues to monitor Iranian naval movements. Voices from the ruins. Back in Gaza, Mariam Qasim, whose children had hoped a ceasefire would let them go home, watched her youngest son dig a shallow trench behind a tent with his bare hands. "That's not a toy," she said quietly. "That's a grave. He's making a place for his sister, just in case." Nearby, an imam recited the call to prayer through a battered megaphone. No electricity, no amplifiers, just the thin voice of human defiance. "People talk about ceasefires and strategies," said Mansour, the neighbor who helped pull out the Jabber children. "But we're not part of that. We just wait for the next bomb." Looking ahead, as night falls over Gaza and Israel, both sides brace for more violence, possibly more intense than before. And as international mediators prepare for what may be a final push in Doha, the window for a ceasefire is shrinking by the hour. Everyone says, "Never again," but it's always again, said Rachel Shmueli at the Tel Aviv protest. This war doesn't end with talks. It ends when people decide they've had enough. We're already there. Are they?